Hello, I'm Michael for GameWatcher.com and welcome to our review of Stars in Shadow, a turn-based 4x-based strategy game developed by Ashtar Games. The game features 2D art assets that incorporate 4x strategy gameplay mechanics as well as turn-based combat. At the start of the game, you're able to choose from 7 playable factions comprising of at least 6 alien races and a human faction, all of which not only have unique mechanics but also have different playstyles and focuses. From there, you set out to expand your empire and dominate the galaxy, and you can do this not only by strength of force but also by diplomacy. Now, diplomacy in the game works very similar to other 4x strategy games, in where once you come into contact with an alien race, you're able to open diplomatic relations and then you can trade. They will often appear to you for various resources which you can give them in turn for diplomatic favor, and at certain points you're able to ally with them and form really strong alliances. Alongside the factions, you'll also encounter native inhabitants and various independent states on various planets. Independent states work very similar to factions, just without the massive armada that they will have access to, and you can open diplomatic relations to them, and if you improve their standing with you enough, you will able to ask them to join your empire, and then you will take control of their colony. Native inhabitants can be colonized and therefore absorbed into your empire, so you can absorb all these native races that all have different various strengths and weaknesses. The core gameplay of Stars in Shadow is fairly solid and is very reminiscent of classic games like Masters of Orion 2. The great thing about Stars in Shadow is that it doesn't try to feature creep and it doesn't try to do too much for an indie game. It executes its core 4x strategy mechanics very well, although there are a couple of problems with things like the UI and the interface that someone who is new to the genre may have trouble with because of a lack of a decent tutorial. But regardless, you're able to do all the things that you would come to expect a 4x space strategy to do. You're able to improve your colonies, build space stations, build armadas, create your own ship designs, do diplomatic relations, and of course research various technologies. The technology tree itself works very simply, and you can only research one technology at a time, and it will give you access to various things such as improved production for your farms or factories, or new guidance systems, new weapons, and various ship modules that you can equip and retrofit your ships with. As you expand and explore the galaxy, you will of course encounter various hostile factions and various hostile aliens. Upon this, you can choose to auto-resolve combat, or you can choose to manually control combat, which then places you into a turn-based strategy game. Now, the turn-based mechanics are very simple. You can move, you can attack, depending on the length and various distance between you and your enemy, and of course on their defensive capabilities and your offensive capabilities. That will affect hit chance and of course damage. On top of that, you can self-destruct your ship if you want to do a suicide run, and the combat for the most part is fairly executed solidly. It doesn't have too much depth to it, which is a little bit of a shame, like various ship abilities and new things that you could have put in that could have just added that extra bit layer of depth, but for the most part it executes what it wants to very well and with little hiccup. Stars in Shadow's strongest mechanic, however, is of course the factions themselves. Each faction is diverse and plays very differently. The Ashtar Imperials, for example, their unique faction ability is the fact that they have access to stargates that can send them off to any corner of the galaxy fairly instantly. Other factions also have unique mechanics, such as one faction has the ability to use mercenaries, which means that you gain the benefits of all your different factions' choices of gunships. And then of course you have also various factions like the human faction that does not start with a homeworld and is in fact a nomad fleet. Despite the game's few drawbacks, overall it is a fantastic game. It is an indie 4x strategy game that probably is one of the best around to date. Its visuals are really vivid and telling, mixed with the fact that the writing itself is very much imbued with plenty of humour. It just overall creates an experience that is a very enjoyable one for 4x space strategy fans. And that's it for our Stars in Shadow review. Thanks for watching. Head on over to GameWatcher.com for more.